My dad and I bought this kit back in the 1980s after seeing a BBC miniseries called Piece of Cake, which was about Spitfire pilots during the Battle of Britain. We had become fascinated with this plane and decided we were going to build it in a line control configuration with an 049 engine, something neither one of us had ever done before, but we decided to take a crack at it anyway. Well, life got in the way, and this is as far as we got with it. It had paper on it, but it was not painted. The paper was torn, holes punched into it, and it needed to be stripped and sanded. So I decided that's what I was going to do. I was going to bring it back to life. I had all the plans. They were pretty chewed up, probably eaten by silverfish in the boxes they were stored in the basement for so many years, but everything was here. Final assembly instructions. I still had all of the plastic parts, and fortunately I had one template left for a wing fairing. After replacing some broken wing spars and stringers in the fuselage, I started to cover, but this was quite a challenge for my mediocre skills. I was used to covering individual components and then assembling them, but this was all in one piece, and it was quite cumbersome to deal with. Progress particularly slowed down for me while I figured out how to cut paper to exact dimensions to fit between the wing root and the fuselage. Finally, that distinctive elliptical shape on the Spitfire wing came into view. Next, I used that wing fairing pattern from the old instructions to trace onto a piece of thin cardboard, a cereal box actually. This is where I stopped covering. I decided to pause here before covering the underside and begin prepping it for the spray booth. I liked the idea of the two-color camouflage, so I used the old plans patterns to create some masks that I added to the wings, rudder, and fuselage. With masks all in place, I went into the spray booth, which incidentally is just an old iMac computer box. The results turned out to be actually better than expected. With the top surfaces finished, I then started to cover the bottom. Since my dad and I had originally constructed this to be line controlled, we designed the horizontal stabilizer as a solid piece. I didn't realize how much weight that would add to the tail until later when I redesigned this as a rubber-powered model. One area that was actually easy to cover was the bottom side of that elliptical wing. Being flat, it was much easier than doing that top surface. The original canopy was in great shape. It had never been mounted, so I decided I was going to mask it in an attempt to paint it, but that didn't turn out very well. I removed it all and started over. The second attempt turned out much better, so I decided to go ahead and complete all of the finer details. That included the exhaust manifolds, the cowling, spinner, prop, rubber motor, and decals. This kit took 35 years to build, although from boneyard to finished flight-ready Spitfire, it only took a couple of months. My dad's no longer with us, but I think he'd be proud.